Italy, 1449. You take a massive sigh of relief because the arrow which just whistled past your ear was a millimeter from penetrating your skull. You avoided a grisly death. Inside the walls of Milan, people are starving. You and your men control the roads going in and coming out. Food carts are turned back. Farmers are interrogated. No food is getting through. You aren't fighting for loyalty to your country. You aren't fighting for a cause. You're fighting because you were paid to fight. This is how things worked in Renaissance Italy. States didn't have national armies. They hired private warlords with their own companies of hardened men. These mercenary captains had a name: condottieri. And one of them is about to prove that a man who controls the army doesn't just defend a city, he can take it. One of those captains was named Francesco Sforza. He was born in 1401, the illegitimate son of a mercenary commander named Musio Attendolo. Francesco wasn't raised in a palace. He was raised in military camps. His childhood was armor, horses, and contracts. He grew up watching his father negotiate with the city-states the way merchants negotiate trade. By his early teens, he was already riding with the company. He learned quickly. In this world, strength mattered. Reputation mattered more. And very soon, the city of Milan was going to find that out the hard way. In 1424, his father drowned during a campaign. Francesco was just 23. He didn't inherit land, he inherited command. Hundreds of professional soldiers now looked to him for leadership. And in Renaissance Italy, inheriting a mercenary company meant inheriting leverage. He wasn't a duke, he wasn't a prince, but he controlled armed men, and that made him valuable. Through the 1420s and 1430s, Francesco Sforza hired his company out across northern Italy. He fought for different city-states, sometimes for Milan, sometimes against it. That wasn't betrayal, that was business. Victory built his reputation, and reputation increased his price. By the early 1440s, Sforza was no longer just another captain. He was one of the most respected military leaders in Italy. Then, in 1441, Milan made a decision that changed everything. Instead of just hiring him, they brought him into the family. Sforza married Bianca Maria Visconti, the illegitimate daughter of Duke Filippo Maria Visconti of Milan. It was a political marriage, but it gave Sforza something he had never had before: a claim. He was still a mercenary captain, but now he was tied by blood to one of the most powerful states in Italy. For the first time, military power and political legitimacy overlapped. Then came 1448. At the Battle of Caravaggio, Sforza commanded Milanese forces against Venice. He won. The victory was decisive. Venice was pushed back, Milan was strengthened, and Sforza's reputation soared. But so did suspicion. Because a mercenary captain with a claim to the duchy and a proven army was no longer just useful. He was a threat to the powers that be. In 1447, Duke Filippo Maria Visconti died. He left no legitimate male heir. For years, Sforza had been positioned close to the center of Milanese power, married into the ruling family, commanding its armies, winning its battles. His relationship with the Duke had been pragmatic, but stable. He had fought for Milan. He had strengthened Milan. He had married into Milan. On paper, he looked like the natural successor. But Milan did not crown him. Instead, leading nobles, lawyers, and city officials moved quickly. Within days, they declared a republic, the Ambrosian Republic. Power would return to a council, not to a mercenary captain. They feared what it would mean to place authority in the hands of a man who commanded a private army. It was a calculated decision. They still needed Sforza's army, but they would not give him the throne. So they hired him again, paid to defend a city that had just denied him power. That was the moment everything changed. Up until now, Sforza had fought for contracts. Now he had a claim to the throne, and it had been rejected. He still commanded thousands of men. He still held the loyalty of his army, but the city he was tied to by marriage had made its position clear. He was good enough to fight for Milan, just not good enough to rule it. The Ambrosian Republic was unstable from the start. It had no single ruler. Power was split between councils and factions, and it was at war. War costs money. Mercenary armies cost even more. Sforza's company was large, experienced, and expensive. Payments began to slow, promises were delayed, political trust weakened. And outside Milan, another power was watching. Venice. Venice had been fighting Milan for years. They had just been defeated at Caravaggio. They understood something important. Sforza was the key. If he fought for Milan, Venice struggled. If he shifted, everything changed. So Venice began negotiating, quietly at first and carefully. They offered recognition, territory, and security. Sforza now stood between two states. Both needed him. Neither fully trusted him. And for the first time, he had to decide, was he still Milan's defender, or was Milan an opportunity? Negotiations with Venice did not stay quiet for long. Sforza began acting, not with speeches, with movement. He took control of towns across Lombardy. Fortified positions shifted into his hands. Milanese Republican forces were pushed back in open battle. This wasn't an overnight betrayal. It was a gradual repositioning. Sforza was no longer simply defending Milan. He was controlling the land around it. And in 15th-century Italy, land meant food. The Ambrosian Republic was already unstable. Factions inside the city argued constantly. Money was short. Confidence was thinner. Now they faced something worse. The man they had refused to crown was building power just beyond their walls. By late 1449, Sforza held much of the surrounding countryside. Roads fell under his control. Fortresses answered to him. Supply lines ran through territory his army now dominated. He didn't need to announce his intentions. His position said enough. Milan had rejected him. Now Milan was exposed. By the winter of 1449, Milan was cut off. Sforza controlled the countryside. Food carts were stopped, grain convoys were seized. Nothing moved without his permission. At first, the shortages were manageable. Then the prices rose. Then the markets thinned. Then bread became scarce. Inside the city, anger replaced confidence. The Ambrosian Republic argued while supplies dwindled. Some wanted to negotiate with Venice. Some demanded another assault. Some insisted Sforza would eventually withdraw. He didn't. Weeks passed. Sforza did not rush the walls. He did not risk a costly assault. He understood something the Republic did not. Time was now his ally. Every day he waited, Milan weakened. Every day Milan weakened, resistance shrank. And Venice, watching carefully, hesitated. Because if Sforza took Milan completely, Venice would face a stronger rival than before. Support slowed. Assistance faded. Milan was alone, and Sforza was still outside. By early 1450, the Republic was collapsing from within. Factions turned on each other. Confidence vanished. The same elites who had refused Sforza began to reconsider. Not because they trusted him, because hunger leaves no room for pride. Delegations left the city. They rode out to meet the man they had once kept at arm's length. Negotiations were not dramatic. They were practical. Titles, authority, recognition. Sforza did not demand destruction. He demanded legitimacy. February 1450. Gates of Milan opened. No battering ram, no massacre, no fire. Francesco Sforza rode in as duke. The mercenary who had once fought for wages now ruled the city that had tried to deny him. He had not conquered Milan with chaos. He had forced it to submit with pressure. And in doing so, he proved something dangerous. In Renaissance Italy, a man who controlled the army did not need a crown. He could take one. Okay, so that wraps it up. Thanks to everyone for watching and to all of the people who've subscribed. If you have any recommendations for a new video, you can leave it in the comments. And if you want to help the channel grow and get notifications, you can like the video and subscribe. It really helps out and would be much appreciated. Thanks, everyone. See you in the next one.